Right here I have the newest version of the Notch Quickie. It's a CE version of the Quickie, which has a CE rating that can be used in Europe. Also has a few other changes that we're going to break down for you guys today. All right, let's get to it. One of the first things I was noticing about the CE Quickie is the body of it has changed its shape. So normally it's more of a U shape. And so what I think is why they were doing this, you see there's a good pocket here that could probably help in the orientation of your rope. Whereas sometimes when you connect your rope onto a butterfly and you're doing a canopy tie, in this older version here, it's more of a U shape. So the rope will sit in this pocket. Now, if you connect it and you have a wider butterfly loop, sometimes when you are sending it up, this can rotate from, if this was the side of the tree you want your slick pin to be on, and you send your rope up and you have a bigger loop, sometimes this Quickie could rotate, and when you get to the top, the pin part of the slick pin is up against the trunk, which you don't want. So I think that this right here is going to help a lot with keeping the Quickie in orientation when you're sending it up the canopy. Also, if you're going to do a base tie, this will probably help when it connects to the rope here and to this point. It's going to keep it in that pocket on either side rather than it being just a U shape where it can rotate. Usually if it's a base, it's probably not going to rotate, but a lot of times when you're sending it up, that's when you might have that issue. And another change that's been made on this Quickie is that on the body of it, it's a lot more smooth. These edges are really smooth, where I think that will help a lot if you're using canopy ties and you're gonna do some redirects. When you're bringing down your system and you have your rope over a redirect, this is a lot more smooth and it's a lot less drag to bring it down. So it's a little bit easier. So on the older version, you can see that it's more squared. It is smooth on the edge, but it's more squared. So the drag from when bringing it down, it is a big difference. I would say this is close to almost being like a pulley. So it's really a huge thing if you're doing redirects on this. That's a good point right there. So the next thing they've changed is on the slick pin. It still has the 4 actions to open, but what they've done is they rounded the lever on it, so when you push, it's a little easier to open, which is great because a lot of times when I climb, I use rubber, latex, and cloth gloves, and these ones are kind of thick on my hands. So when I'm using a Quickie, a lot of times I'll be up in the tree and I'll take the glove off in order to depress this lever. On the other version, they're sharp, so a lot of times my glove gets stuck in there. And so far with these, I can push it and I can still use it without having to take my gloves off. Just a little bit of pressure and it pops open, which is a great thing because I don't have to take the glove off when I'm up in the tree. That's a great added, it's small, but it's a great thing to have. Next are the ratings. They've changed a bit. So on the minor axis, this is 15, and on the major axis, it's 23 kilonewtons. So that's a lesser kilonewton rating on the major axis. It does still comply to life support, which is great. On the older version, it's a 30 kilonewton rating and a 13 minor axis kilonewton rating. So it's a little bit lesser on the major axis, but it still complies, and I think it's not going to make a huge difference. With the older version of the Quickie, if you have a wide loop on your butterfly, and it's, say this is going to real short, but if it was a real high canopy anchor, a lot of times when you put your Quickie in and you connect it, so now when you send it up, it could bounce around a little, and then sometimes it rotates. And now your slick pin is going to be up against the trunk. So it probably won't happen here, but you see how it's orientated? It's like in the center. Now you pull it up to the top, and what you want is that slick pin to be flat against the trunk. So with this version, and you have a wide eye here, sometimes it does bounce and flip. And by the time you get to the top, then that slick pin's up to the front. I mean, up against the tree, and that's not something that you want to have happen. Now with this other version, those pockets on the side, they look like it'll hold it in place. And so far it's been working for me. You pop it in, connect it to your rope, and now it's a little bit, it has that little corner here. It's not a corner, it's rounded edge, but it's not just a U shape. So now when you pull it, and even on a bigger loop, it's going to be less likely for it to rotate around on you, which is probably why they made that. And you bring it back down, right? So I think that's a pretty cool feature right there. So we'll do with the old version, like if we're going to do a redirect. So I'll pop it on the rope, and I'm connecting this, and now I'll pull it up. Just a short tie in here. Now this other length of rope here is the branch that we redirected over. So let me pull this through, and now I've come out of the tree and I'm coming down. I came down on that side. Now I'm bringing my system down. It's smooth until I get to where the branch puts pressure on the rope. And at this point, now it gets a little bit harder to pull down because there's more friction. Even though it's on the slick pin, it's still rubbing against this, I guess this portion right here. So it makes it a bit harder to pull down. It's doable, but it's a lot more like strength that I have to use to bring it down. So now what I'll do is I'll throw the CE Quickie on. So I'll try to do this with my gloves on, so it's kind of working, but okay. So I'll pop that off. Okay, throw this in my pocket. Now I'll grab the CE Quickie, and we're gonna slide it in and then connect it right there. Now I'll send it back up. Same situation. Now let me tend the backside. Now here we go. We're coming back down. So now here's the part where it should get hard. And actually it's a lot less. I still have to strain some, but it's less. It's a lot less straining. That little bit of a rounded area right here, that really makes a huge difference in how you retrieve it. And I'm sure you could set it up other ways. Maybe if you did like a Texas tugger, it would make it even easier. But having this rounded body for the redirects, it's really cool. And I really think that shape will help hold this in place. That's a nice change that they've done to this CE Quickie. So my final thoughts on the CE Quickie, is it worth upgrading to this Quickie? I think with all of the different changes, the wider body, the smoothness of the body itself, also the slick pin with the levers that are able that are rounded and you don't catch your glove, and then the CE rating, that's huge. I think that, you know, it would be a good benefit to buy this versus the older version. If you have the older version, you're in good shape, but if you're planning on upgrading, this is not a bad deal. It's you know, maybe $5 more. It's a great piece of equipment, and I think I really like it. I know I like this one a lot more. But if you kind of weigh, do you have to go run out and buy one if you already have a Notch Quickie? Not really. If you're going to plan on getting another one, this would be a great upgrade. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you like what we do, and by all means, share our videos. Take care. We'll see you next time.